Hello my dear viewers, today we are testing the Malanika Leuku. This knife not really made for destruction testing, so we will test it in some bushcrafting tasks. As you can see, it comes in a very nice leather sheath. Mine is in a birch bark handle and the steel is RVL34, I think it must be. Stainless steel, also powdered steel. So let's try and cut this branch that is in our way. I will make some comments throughout the video, but I'm not talking the entire time, so you can hear how it is performing and see for yourself. So let's get started. First we will remove the bark from the tree. I will use this technique, although it doesn't look quite optimal. Just removing the bark to avoid hitting sand particles. It will reduce the damage that the knife will take. It's also used when you're felling a tree for axes. But as you can see, this knife is quite powerful. It chops quite well. I had made for mine a little upsweep in the end, so it doesn't slip out of your hand easily. But since it has forward weight, or the balance is in the front of the knife, it gives pretty good power when you swing it. So this tree that I'm chopping is actually fist thick. You will see it after I will chop it through. So this was quite an easy task with this knife. Not my best performance chopping, I can tell you, but if you hit the spots every time, you can do it easily in half the amount of time. And let's see from my perspective how this knife chops. It's actually the same branch that I'm using. We will later make a spoon with this knife completely, and yeah, I will be chopping this completely in the size that I need it, and we will only use this knife for the whole video, no other tools. So now we have the second time chopped through it, and as you can see it's quite a thick log almost. Almost fits my hand's fist size. Yeah, that piece we are going to use for our spoon. So let's get started. First I need to find another plate. And you will see some animal faces throughout the video. That is because I'm not yet quite ready to present my face to the world. So we start to chop this thing in 2 pieces by using the knife, obviously. And that gives us 1 piece to work with, and we can use the other one to use as a kind of hammer baton. That will be helpful when we start splitting it. Yeah, so as you can see, when you're working in a kind of angle, the chopping goes way faster. And it's also probably not so demanding for the knife. Not so stressing. Yeah, batoning is also no problem. We have pretty big blade in our hand, and that gives us the advantage. With a smaller blade this would be pretty hard. Yeah, this knife is very good for woodworking. I think it's from Finland, traditional model. Yeah, handcrafted by Mr. Danijel from Croatia, I think. What we are going to do now is we will turn this round piece of wood into a flat, almost board-like piece. And from there we will draw then our, how is it called? We'll draw the outline of the spoon. But let's first clean it up, make everything even, so we have a nice flat piece. So when you're working with a big blade you need to use different techniques also. I don't use chopping in this kind of situation because I want the surface to be smooth and even with no cuts that remain. So this kind of scraping technique is used in combination with traditional carving. Also I use the choke up technique. This knife doesn't have a finger guard, so you can put your pinch grip pretty close to the edge. You need to be careful while doing this, but it gives you very much control over your chops or cuts, which really helps to make fine detailed cuts in the wood, make the surface clean. So as you can see, we have a pretty nice board at the moment that we can definitely use to draw the outline. So let me just grab my pencil. And for the design, I didn't really have any particular in mind, just pointing out the nuts in the wood to avoid the cracking areas that may occur. And then I decided to use a small spoon design. Originally I wanted to make a big one, but I did draw a smaller one, which made it quite a bit harder to carve, because small spoon, big blade, that's really not a good combination to start. You always want, for smaller stuff, a smaller blade, obviously. Gives you way more control. But yeah, this can also show you the capabilities of the knife. And yeah, obviously it also depends on how much skill you have. Yeah, so I draw this kind of, what shape can we call it? It has a slim middle point and the end gets a little bit wider, and standard spoon shape in the front. So the spoon carving project right now will be uncut, so if you don't want to see it all, you can fast forward. But if you're interested in seeing how well this knife does, I can recommend you to watch completely through it. It will also show different techniques that you can apply with a big blade if you only have one. You don't need necessarily a carving knife to make stuff out of wood. This knife is completely fine. It just takes a bit more skill and practice to make something with this blade. Yeah. For this type of cuts, I apply the hand pressure technique, I guess you can call it like that. Pressing one hand against the other to avoid slipping. This is commonly used for big blades, because if you don't use both of your hands, you probably will end up slipping and maybe cut yourself. So always think about safety first and not how fast you make it or anything else, really. And if you work on both sides simultaneously, you can also use the turning technique. If you turn your knife while it is stuck in the wood, it will split apart the fibers and then remove a whole chunk. But I recommend only using it when the cuts on both sides go in the same, have the same depth. So, for example, if one side is deeper than the other, you have the chance of splitting more than you want, which is not good. So you might wonder how my fingers stay safe. If you look closely, you might think the blade is on my fingers while cutting, or very close at least. But actually, it's just that you get used to this kind of style. It's similar to the pukus. They also have no finger guard, and that can be a problem for some people, but over time you will really feel the difference in control, and also when you get more experienced, you definitely will not cut yourself. For the curved area, I'm using a swipe motion because the blade width is I think 3.2 centimeters. You can't make these radial cuts very good, so I have to use the tip of the knife, or the area where the tip is, to make a swipe motion. This allows me to cut curves that are pretty tight. I will apply the same technique on the other side, but on the handle of the spoon there isn't really that deep of a curve, so we can use the press against the other hand technique, which will be just fine to make it nice and symmetrical. We will make also a 3-dimensional spoon, so first we cut it in 2D and later we will work on the side view. So you might look at it and see it is flat. Later we will make the handle have a nice curve, etc. Make it a bit cooler looking. Also, the end result of the spoon will not be in this video. It will be made in a short, if you are interested. May follow after some time. It is, after this video, still not finished, so I have to sand it and make the hole in the front as well, obviously. This knife cannot do the job of a hook knife, obviously. No knife can. So now we will start working on the 3-dimensional part. We will also use these kind of swipe cuts to the side, which allow us to stop the cut in the middle section, so we don't cut to the other end, because we want it to be a curve and not be flat. You have to be careful, as you could see I just slipped a little bit there, because you don't really know when the fibers are giving in, because the feeling with a big blade is not that good in these situations. So I recommend using mostly the swipe cuts. So to make the round part in the front where you eat, I also don't have anything to grip onto here. So I will place the spoon on the tree trunk and then use the normal cutting technique, just pressing downwards. Yes. You need to be a little bit creative when cutting the area that goes towards the handle. That's a bit tricky. The other side is really not hard, you just carve normally. It's pretty easy. So on the back side of the handle I tried oh man, how it is called in English? I tried a I don't know the word. So on the back side of the spoon I tried a triangular shape, but I took off a little bit too much material, so I decided to make it completely round, which in the end looked probably even better to me. Yeah, but it's a bit tricky, like I said, to have a really decent feeling when it comes to big blades. You just don't have the control, but obviously it can also be a lack of experience in my case. I didn't carve that much with that blade, only one spoon that I might put also in the video, so you can see. It was in one of my shorts. Spoon made from cherry wood. This is, I think, hazelnut, so not the hardest wood in the forest, but it is dried and seasoned. I think you can say it's decent, but still makes pretty quick work. Doesn't take ages to make a spoon out of it. So this is probably the end of the spoon carving. As you can see, we have quite a nice shape, and it will definitely work when you use it. Just have to make the little bit more detailed stuff and the hole in the front. So let's check out what you can do with the knife as well. If you're walking through the brushes, then you probably have to chop down a few plants. And as you can see, it's totally fine doing it with this blade. I didn't want to waste too much plants, so after this we will turn to a fallen tree and just chop down a few of its branches. And as you can see, it's no problem. Also a little bit thicker one. 2 or 3 swings I missed, and it's down. Yeah. And we will come to the specifications where we work the close-up. This knife has a 18.5 centimeter long blade with a 5 millimeter thickness. The overall length with the handle is 31 centimeters. The width of the blade is 3.2 centimeters. Yeah. And as I said, mine comes in birch bark with black liners and brass applications. The blade is in stainless powder metallurgic RVL 34. This knife is completely handcrafted as well. Comes with a nice durable leather sheath, which is actually very high quality. Not those low standard sheaths that you might expect when you buy a industrial production knife. So now we will try to make some feather sticks. This knife has a convex grind, or kind of scandivex grind, because it is not a full convex, which gives a really good performance in making those fine wood curls. I just grabbed a stick. I didn't search for long, I just searched 20 seconds probably. Grabbed the first thing I saw and just started doing it. It was pine, I think, that I had at that time, and it worked perfectly. I didn't have fire seal, so I couldn't show you how it lit up, or would light up, but you can imagine this very good. So for the last test I will show you from the from a more upward angle how this knife batons. It's not a big piece, but I think it gives a good idea how much space you have while doing it. And this piece of wood is obviously more than enough to make a decent spoon out of, even a small spatula for cooking. Yeah, absolutely no problem. Splits pretty fast. With the convex grind, it does a quick job. Yeah, I didn't know where to put my thumb up or thumb down from this angle. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this test and episode. If you want to see more, you can leave a comment. I also made this video because one of my subscriber did ask about a review about this knife, and here it is. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Take care, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.